Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've had some good racing this week for the Dante Festival. I've been keeping an eye on those, looking out for future races, eye catchers, and there's actually one that runs on at the weekend that I'm interested in. I think it's interesting that the horse is coming back so quickly after running at York. I've got 5 for tomorrow, and let's kick off looking at the 225 at Newbury, the listed race over 6 furlongs. I think it's very interesting to see Relief Rally running here. So first of all, dropping back in class, back down to a listed from a Group 3. Previously has won a Group 2. She's very good. I thought last year she looked like she was really, really fast. I was slightly surprised to see her up in trip in the Fred Darling, where she was ridden like, can we get 7? Can we get a mile? And I think they've come back in and gone, no. We've got to remember though, she went off 7-4 favourite for that, for a Group 3, over a trip that probably didn't suit. She's back to a trip that does suit. She is very fast. She's back in class. She's down to a listed race. I mean, for a Group 2 winner last year, 2 runs ago, who then went off favourite in a Group 3, to now be running in a listed race, you would argue that you could think that that's disappointing to see her running in this race, but I think they're going, let's get her back to winning ways over 6, and we'll keep her as a sprinter over 5 and 6 this year. And maybe she's not good enough, or doesn't stay 7 and a mile, so they've kind of reverted to where she should be running. And with that in mind, I think considering I think she's really, really good. I think she'll be running in group races at the end of Group 1 races at the end of the season again. Considering that, the 9-2 that's available could potentially be quite big. Well, I think it is big. I think she should be. How do you go off 7-4 favourite for a Group 3, and then potentially 9-2 for a listed race over the trip that actually looks to suit? She was running over 5 last season as well, and winning over 5. If you thought you had a Guineas horse, I think they would have stepped her up to 6 to 7 towards the end of the season, and then come back this year and gone 7 or a mile to start with. But they didn't. They came. They ended last season running over 6. She is a sprinter, and I think she'll be too good for these. Over this trip, they can ride her a little bit more positively than they did last time out, where they held her up to try and get the trip. It didn't work. I think they can sit just behind the leaders here, and I think she'll take all of the beating here in the listed 6 furlong race. We move on to the 240 at Newmarket, the only race that we're looking at Newmarket. And the horse I like here is this one here, Koy Koy, for George Bowie and Billy Loughnane. Now, Koy Koy has actually been away over the winter, or early. I was going to say early spring, but it's not early spring. January and February and March, over in Meydan, and ran some okay races, finished 9th, 5th and 11th. Over a mile and 1, 7 and 6. I kind of feel that they didn't really know what to do with the horse at Meydan. Probably best run came when 5th behind Mysterious Night. When didn't get a clear run, was nearest at the finish. That came off a mark of 97, but I always not totally sure we can believe the handicap marks in Meydan. Sometimes you get horses that run below themselves, and sometimes they run above themselves. But I want to go back to her last year, his form last year in the UK. Started off running a really disappointing race in the Royal Hunt Cup, and I don't think, so I initially looked at this and thought maybe they're trying to get him fit for something like that again, the Royal Hunt Cup or the Buckingham Palace Stakes, but I don't think they're doing that, because he ran in the Britannia in 2022 and was also disappointing, finishing 10th of 30, beaten 5 lengths. I kind of feel that aiming at Royal Ascot is a waste of time with this horse. I hope they've aimed at this race, and they've got him ready. If we ignore that race on his return and then look at his other 3 runs, I think they were all very good. He was second at Chester behind Safe Voyage, behind the very well handicapped Safe Voyage that day. He had dropped to a mark of 95. Safe Voyage is back up to 100, had previously rated as high as 116. So the horse that he got beat by had just dropped significantly in the handicap and eventually got back to winning ways. After finishing second, went to Wolverhampton, beat Ferrari Lane. Ferrari Lane was then in our eye catchers from that race, and Ferrari Lane did come out and win. He's rated 91, was being beaten by Koy Koy of 85, so that form was fine. And then Koy Koy went to Ayr off a mark of 99 and finished third behind Revich and Titan Rock. But if you watch that race, he didn't get a clear run at all. If he had got a clear run, personally, I think he would have won the race. I think he would have beaten Revich and Titan Rock. Now, that came off a mark of 99. He actually returns here of 95. So he was unlucky on his final start in the UK off 99. He returns off 95, £4 lower mark. Yeah, I mean, if he'd won off 99, he would have gone up to like 103. I think he's very well handicapped, and I think I'm prepared to kind of ignore his runs at Meydan to a degree, in that they didn't really know what trip. Back in the UK, they're running him over 7. Last year, he ran over a mile, 7.5, a mile, and a mile. This trip, I think, will be fine. He will be finishing strongly. Just hope they go quick enough at the front that he can really pick up nicely at the finish. I did notice that Summergand was running here. I don't think he wants 7. I think he wants 6. And I'm hoping that, you know, they're running him here because it all went wrong at York due to the unfortunate loss of Hispanic. He's one I'm not that interested in coming out quickly. I'll be keeping an eye out to see where they go after this with Summergand. But yeah, Koy Koy off a £4 lower mark than when he was third at Ayr in circumstances that he was very unlucky. And you can currently get Koy Koy at, let's just refresh this, you can currently get Koy Koy, as you can see there, at 7-1. We move on to the 3 o'clock at Newbury, the London Gold Cup, a race that I really like. Generally works out quite well. Look out for all the winners of the winners, the front 2 or 3 in this. They generally go on to do good stuff going forward. And the horse I like here, you can ignore these win odds. These are the Betfair or Exchange win odds, and you can see that they haven't got the prices right just yet because it's too early. But the bookmakers do have prices. The horse I like here is Persica. So Persica or Persica, I don't totally know how you pronounce that. I'm going to go with Persica. Last season took a while to get going. He was a bit disappointing on his first run at Leicester on debut. Then went to Salisbury and was a very good winner in a novice stakes, quick and clear of a decent race. And then ended up running in the Yearling Stakes. Only went off 8-1 for the Yearling Stakes, and we actually selected him that day. And he ran okay. He didn't get a clear run. Still ran okay, 4/10. And I think he'll be better than, I felt he was better than that anyway. And he did go to Kempton after that and won a nursery handicap, beating Sahara Kitten quite comfortably. That came off a mark of 86. He is up to 92. But we then want to see the horse train on from 2 to 3, and I think he kind of suggested he did last time out. He finished third behind Notable Speech and Valvano, not beaten that far really. Notable Speech went on to win a Guineas, and Valvano I think is very smart himself. A similar performance here, back into a handicap. I think Persica's got a massive chance here. And I was surprised to see the price of Persica. I thought it was too big. I mean, Corals are suggesting 12s at the moment. If you can get 12s, I would get that now because you can see that all the others are shortening. I am quite keen on Persica, to be honest. So, yeah, Persica is my selection. I think he has trained on, and I think he's going to run a really nice race. Over a bit further again, he steps up to 1 mile and 2. I think that'll bring out a bit more improvement. You know, he was running over 7. They started him over 7 last season, suggesting that they felt that this year they would be getting a mile and 2, even further than that. When they start them over 5 and 6, they kind of go 5, 6, 7, maybe up to a mile. Probably don't want to go much further than that. But it's interesting that they started this horse over 7, and after disappointing in the Yearling Stakes, where he still ran okay, they then went straight up to a mile. I think 1 mile and 2, 1 mile and 4, this horse will really start to come into his own. Moving on to the 4:10 at Newbury. And this is the horse that did run this week that I'm interested in. And that is Lethal Levi. Now, Lethal Levi has dropped significantly in the handicap. He looks very, very well handicapped. And that's probably why he ended up running midweek on the 15th. He went off favourite for a 6 furlong handicap at York. Now, he didn't run his best race that day. He was over the far side, but never really bounced out and went forward and really got to the front like he normally does. And you would argue that, that was disappointing. My thoughts behind that were, I was very disappointed with that run from Lethal Levi, and I was looking to see where he come out. But the fact that Carl wants to run him just 3 days later at Newbury suggests to me that they think there's something still there. And he went off 5-1 favourite. I can't imagine that was just punter's money. I imagine there was a bit of other money there, maybe from an owner or somebody who'd been watching the horse. They really feel that he retains his ability. You've got to remember, he got up to a mark of 100 last year. This time last year, 17th of May this time last year, he actually finished second at York in the race that he just disappointed in. Off 96, he then went up to 100 when he went to Royal Ascot, and then so he went off rated 100 in just under a year ago. Now, he's dropped significantly down to 91. He was a beaten favourite last time out, and they put the blinkers on. Now, if the blinkers really spark him up and he goes forward, he may, because he's running off a mark that he could certainly win off, he may be able to hang on and go forward and not get caught. And that's kind of what I hope they do here. Slightly smaller field. There was 21 midweek. There's only 12. I'm hoping they stay in one group. I'm hoping that it becomes almost like an arrow shape. I'm trying to think of the word for that. Yeah, where they run in an arrow formation, and he can lead them and almost play, go past him if you can. And I'm hoping that nothing can go past him with the blinkers on. Clifford Lee keeps the ride. He knows the horse. He knows he's just got to go forward, bounce out and try and hang on. With those blinkers on, if that helps, he is very well handicapped. And you can currently, only William Hill have priced up, but they've gone 9-1. If we can get about that, I'll be very happy with Lethal Levi. And finally, we move on to the 4:45, a mile handicap over at Newbury. And my selection here will be the boring one. It is the favourite. It's Godwinson, who looks to try and reverse the form with Metal Merchant. Now, Godwinson, went off favourite last time. Went off 11-2 favourite in this in a similar race. Metal Merchant went off 12-1. So instantly that tells me that probably Godwinson had more potential, or they felt he was better handicapped than Metal Merchant was, the two different respective owners and form lines. And I agreed with that. I still believe that was probably true. But if you watch the race, Tom Marquand was significantly earlier. He was off the bridle significantly earlier than David Probert. David Probert actually got a really nice run through, kicked for home at the right time, just held on. Watching the race, knowing that they were both coming back from their layoff, they were both potentially not quite 100% fit, etc. Knowing that and watching the race and watching the way that Godwinson ran and finished so strongly, instantly I said he'll reverse the form next time. And it's, we've got a perfect option to see whether that's true here, because they reoppose each other. Godwinson is a pound better off as well. That would have made them very close. There was only half a length between it anyway. And I just felt everything went right for Metal Merchant. Not a lot went right for Godwinson. And with that in mind, I think he'll reverse the form here. And I do think that Godwinson will end up in decent handicaps, maybe even group races towards the end of the season, whereas Metal Merchant probably sticks around in handicaps a little bit longer. So he currently priced up at 11-4. Yeah, anywhere around there, I would be very happy with Godwinson. So my 5 for tomorrow are Relief Rally in the listed race, dropping in class, back to a suitable trip as well. I think he can be ridden a little bit more positively. Koy Koy, back in the UK, off a £4 lower mark than when last seen in the UK, when didn't run a bad race and didn't get a clear run. If he had got a clear run, I think he would have won off 99. He runs here off 95. Persica, who's third last time out behind the subsequent Guineas winner, I think is very good form. I do think the step up and trip will really suit Persica. Lethal Levi, there's got to be something in him. He went a 5-1 favourite midweek. The blinkers are on this time. If they really spark him up and let him get to the front, and I'm hoping he can hold on. And finally, Godwinson, off the fitness run that it probably ended up being last time out at Newbury. Everything, if it all runs smoothly this time, I think Godwinson reverses the form with Metal Merchant and proves that he was significantly very well handicapped coming into last run. Yeah, he did go up. What did he go up? £4 for that, I think. £4. But if he'd had a fitness run and then turned up at Newbury, I think he would have won comfortably and probably gone up £6, £8, £10 for winning that, and still potentially been ahead of his mark. So yeah, Godwinson is my selection in the final selection in the 4:45 at Newbury.